Hello, the internet! It is Saturday, the 22nd of March, 2025, and welcome back to the channel. Do you recall about maybe 6 weeks ago, we did a live stream where we were talking about Epson printers and how you should not purchase one because they sting you, or they slide you in by giving a cheap printer, and then they charge a fortune for the ink, and you cannot use third-party non-Epson ink in their printers. Excuse me for the burp, it just came out of nowhere. Well, I've been lodging, as you were aware, I lodged a complaint with Epson about this issue, and I'm here to report that Epson had done the right thing, and they have refunded me the purchase price of the printer. Now, the reason I'm doing this stream is because it's very easy to come out and do a something's wrong with something kind of stream and shoot a video or complain. You know, it's very easy to complain when something's going against you, but people seldom come out and make the same amount of ruckus when something's going for you. So in the interest of being equal and keeping things even, I'm here to do a stream to say Epson have done the right thing here. But first of all, I want to highlight that still the message is clear. Do not buy Epson printers because they're shit, they're cheap, they're nasty, and they sting you for ink. However, if you get stung like I did, and you find enough frustration and you have a social media presence, my advice is to stick at it and demand a refund. I want to show you how I got to the refund, but there is a step in between that needs to be explained as well. And unfortunately, it involves using the Epson customer service format. It's just really clunky the way they do this. Also, this is a YouTube stream, so if you're watching this and you're not on YouTube, come on over to the tubes. This is where we're streaming at today. I'm only looking at the YouTube chat. There's no one in it right now, so it's very quiet. Either way, if you're chatting off of YouTube, I'm not seeing it. But last we left this was in the conversation with Epson. I can't remember where we left it. Hold on a second. There is something playing in the background there. I've got D-Live's open. Of course, D-Live little bugger. Hey, I still hear my stream. Why do I still hear my stream? Okay. I fixed it. So let's move on here and look at this customer service format. It's just all in one bulk, right? It's just so stupid. But anyway, just to refresh those that weren't here for the beginning, and I did link that live stream down below if you want to go and check the whole thing. My initial complaint was I need an older version of the firmware that does not prevent me from using third-party ink. So just to walk back a little here and tell you the story, I have a cheap Epson printer. It's an XP 420 something, and I very seldom use it. And all I need it for is black and white print of something like a little run sheet. And I only print hardly ever, right? So it's not. I didn't buy it because it's the best printer and I need printing. I just bought it because I need to print every now and then. Of course, the cartridge that it comes with is an Epson cartridge, and as soon as that cartridge expired, I bought a cheap one on eBay, and it didn't work. And the printer spat out a message saying you need to use a genuine Epson print. Sorry, hold on a second. That's not right. It's been so long, but I forgot. So initially, it came with the Epson cartridge, and when I first bought a ink cartridge, it worked. No worries. A cheap-ass, non-genuine Epson cartridge worked. And then this is where the issue arose when it came time to, actually, it wasn't even, rewind. I'm telling the story incorrectly. It's because it doesn't, it's such a stupid story, but I forgot the details. So I bought the printer. It printed fine with the initial cartridge. Came time to replace it with non-genuine. It worked fine. Then there was one day when it caught me off guard, and it said update firmware, and I stupidly said yes. And I updated the firmware thinking, I don't know what I was thinking. What do you need a firmware update for a printer? It either prints or it doesn't. But I stupidly went ahead and updated the firmware. And that's when it said straight away, it's like, you can't use this cartridge non-genuine. And I'm like, I've been using it already. What are you talking about? The cartridge isn't empty. And so that's how this kicked off. the firmware update. So I requested the roll. I was like, okay, well, I can just roll back the firmware, right? No, you cannot. Epson have removed the firmware. Any previous firmware, Epson had removed it from their software, from their websites. I couldn't find any. There were plenty of scam websites to download this executable file and run this. Hell no. But genuinely from Epson, I could not find the rollback firmware. So I approached them and they said no. And that's where this comes up. I need an older version of firmware that does not prevent me from using third-party ink. I find it infuriating that Epson pushes these updates that block customers from making their own choice of ink. I also noticed that Epson has retroactively removed all past firmware options for macOS, replacing them with version IT040A. This effectively forces any Mac user who accepts the update firmware request to only use Epson ink. This is a terrible move from Epson and reflects a company who has lost touch with their customer base. Please link me the firmware and provide the option on your website for others to use should they choose. They responded with, please be advised of our usage condition. And if I went out and clicked this link, it just basically takes it to a website that says in fine print, in some part of the terms, you cannot use anything aside from Epson ink. So they've made the choice to block any ink that's not theirs. And they've made that very clear. They made that very clear if you're willing to dig through the terms and find it. It is there, but you've got to be able to dig. I said, hi, Christian. Regardless of the highlighted condition, you indicated the printer was working fine with any cartridge before you issued the firmware update, not providing a rollback option to earlier firmware, and updating all existing links online to only include the current firmware is a sleuth move from a money-hungry global sham company. I repeat my initial request. Please provide a rollback to prior firmware. They said, thank you for contacting. We are sorry, but there is no rollback option for firmware update. There is no rollback option. Of course there is, but you removed them all, right? That's how sleuthful this is. There is always a rollback, providing someone has the link to the rollback firmware. They took it off. They removed it. So that's when I said, hi, Christian. I'll take this as an official statement on the matter from Epson. I'm making a YouTube video concerning this matter, so if there's anything else you'd like to add, please do so before the 10th when my video will go public. And that's when we did our live stream, and that's when the stream that's in this description, that's where that comes from. So if you watch that stream, that's what I'm referring to there. Epson said, we tried to call you back. By the way, in all of my correspondence with Epson, I said, do not call me. I do not answer phone calls unless it's a number I've got in my address book. If you call me, I will not answer. And yet they did. They kept calling. I was like, what part of do not call did you not read? Do you not understand that do not call means continue this correspondence by email? Do not call me. But they kept calling. So I just kept ignoring it. We tried to call you back and they called me back. I've never called you. I never called you. This whole conversation has been an email, but they're saying they tried to call you back. Why would you word it that way? But you're not available. No shit. Please attach the picture of the serial number. We will escalate this concern to our highest level support, which I did. I sent them the serial number. I said, please don't call me. Please don't call me. I would rather any communications to be recorded here in writing. Attaches a photo of the serial number. Please provide a link to the firmware. Earlier than IT040A. Here we go. We tried to contact you by phone earlier today. Why do they do this? Isn't it clear? But you were not available. Can you please reply to the email with the best time for us to contact you and provide assistance? Again, I mean, I don't have to. It's at this point where I was like, okay, what am I dealing with here? It's possibly not a human, right? They're not responding to the way humans interact. So we might be dealing with a bot here. I said, I've requested very clearly to please not call my number. My video is now posted. I post a link to the live stream that's in the description here. Again, I will state very clearly, provide a link to download older firmware on your website for everyone to use should they wish to. So this is now not just about me. This is about anybody. Because if you look online and you look in the right places, there are many people that are frustrated by this issue, right? Many people. I'm not the only one. Epson said, thank you for the reply. Unfortunately, due to hardware restrictions, there is no firmware rollback option. There is no the idea of rolling back firmware suddenly doesn't exist in our hardware. For any of our products, the firmware upgrade is to enhance the reliability of the printer. So they're saying that they're not reliable from the get-go. They need enhancing. There is 2 hardware involved if you come to use an ink. So we're obviously dealing with someone that's not English, is not their first language. There is 2 hardware involved if you come to use an ink. One in printer, and there is a chip on the inks. Yes, there is. There are hundreds of non-genuine inks in the market, and we cannot guarantee whether all of them are upgrading the chip on the ink. No, none of them are. None of them are doing that. Only you guys do that. As a goodwill gesture, well, they didn't even use that word. As a goodwill, we can supply a set of inks to test in your printer. If you agree to this as an acceptable option, please reply to the email with your shipping address so we can send you a set of inks as compliment. But this is a one-off offer. This is a one-off offer only. For one night only. After that, you have to keep buying genuine Epson inks for better quality printout and the reliability of the printer. What a load of shit. If you require further assistance. So right there, they're saying firmware rollbacks do not exist in our products. And that's across the board. And there is 2 places where firmware exists, one in the printer and one on the ink. And apparently the other ink providers are upgrading their software, and that's where the problem lies. No, the problem lies inside the printer in the firmware that you update that blocks all those other inks from running because their chip that you change, not them. I said, the fact that you are claiming there is no firmware rollback tells me everything. Of course there is. We all know how firmware and hardware work together. Thank you for the goodwill offer of inks for me to test. I will accept your offer if you also extend it to every single person with an Epson printer who has updated their firmware and encountered the same issue. I'd be happy to create another live stream highlighting this offer from Epson should you agree to it. That seems fair, right? It's not just about me. If they're going to offer me free ink, then that should be something that they extend to everybody. And I would expect a tab on their website saying, bought a printer, can't use your ink, click here and we'll send you the ink. Right? That's what I was picturing. If they're going to be the goodwill offer, one-off offer, that should be extended to everybody, not just me. They said, oh, this is when it gets a bit funky. They said, thank you for your email. After watching your video, so they watched the live feed, we noticed that you try Epson.com site, which is not an Australian site. Please go to epson.com.au and try to download the latest firmware. Just a little heads up, when you click that link and you go to the Australian site, it takes you to the exact same firmware page. So yes, I was on epson.com, but that link from the Australian site takes you to the exact same place where the other site takes you. And it's to the firmware 4.0, whatever that one was, ITO 4.4.0, whatever the most current was. So it's irrelevant. Once you perform the upgrade and let us know the outcome. So basically they're saying, we're not going to give anybody else free ink. This is for you only because you made a live stream. We're giving it to you and hopefully you'll shut up and go away. That's what I was reading from that. And at that point, I don't think I responded. I think I just left it there. Yeah, I didn't respond. I was like, okay, now I'm up against it, and we'll get to the most current update. But at that point, I was like, these guys, right? There's no point responding to this crap. You do what they say, and it takes you to download the exact same firmware. So there is no rollback, and you're stuck. But Epson were willing to give you free ink, and I just let it fly. Basically, I was at that point going to say, okay, I'll throw the printer in the bin. And then this comes through. Hello, dear Benon, thank you for your email reply regarding your Epson 4XP Filter. As requested in your email, Epson agreed to refund the purchase price. I did not ask for that. As apparently I emailed them, which I did not. It'd be in here if I did. I asked for everybody to receive, maybe I did in my live stream, I cannot remember, but I asked for everybody to receive free ink. And they just came out and said, we'll refund the whole purchase price. Give us your bank, your BSB, and your account number. I was like, oh shit. I was like, okay, and I won't show you this because it's got my, well, I can show you. Anyway, it's got my bank details there. I was like, okay, cool. And then this came through, from Crystal Zeng and Vince Demento and Ravindra Mahalingam and Sharon McGrath, all copied in, right? All CC'd in. Nicole Lynn at Epson. High importance. Hi, Nicole. Details and approval was provided in the original email. If we can process urgently, as this is to address a customer sat issue and address customer continually to negatively promote Epson on social media. So look, this is clearly the only reason. Can you see that? I can't highlight it. I could before though. Why can't I highlight that? It's weird. It's just only letting me highlight a portion of it. Either way, you can see it there if you zoom in on it. I can't zoom in any further, no. So they are essentially saying this, because this has gone social, because this guy's making live content about this, we need to remedy it. And the remedy was just pay him back his money and get the hell out. And so they did. And I'm happy to annotate that this has been done. Our accounts, it took a little while, but they did refund the full purchase price, and that's how that's ended. So yeah, I said I can confirm the refund has been processed. Please close the case. Yeah. Please send a confirmation so we can close the case. So my point here, and the point of me doing all of this, was to, again, highlight the point or the fact that if you buy an Epson printer and you then go and buy ink, unless you buy the ink that Epson approve, you cannot use that printer for the purpose of what you've bought to print pages. Now, they make the printer super cheap. I think the printer was 88 Australian dollars, and the ink is about $60. So you might think you're saving, but you're just getting ripped off later on. Crazy printers these days, dude. Yeah. And so my warning or my message here is don't fall for this suck from like companies like Epson. Don't buy a cheap ass printer thinking that's all you'll need. Of course, you're going to need ink. Also, don't buy an Epson printer thinking you can get the cheap cartridge and just pull the little microchip off the cartridge. Don't think you can swap the ink, the microchips around. You can't. I tried that. I thought, well, hang on, what's actually stopping me from using this ink? It's this little computer chip that's obviously being recognized. Well, why don't I put the other one back on? I did that. It still didn't work. So my advice here: avoid Epson. Avoid any printer that has this caveat. Now, as it stands for me, I've effectively got a free printer, but I've also now got to buy genuine Epson ink. And so for the first 2 times I do that, yeah, I'm going to be clear. But as soon as the cost of the printer, which they've refunded, is exhausted, I'm then going to be like everybody else, having to buy expensive ink to print off what, like I said, just a lousy black and white print. Watch the good one on the actual ink or lack of ink that is within the original cartridges. Is that right? So the original, I mean, that cartridge, I'll say that cartridge did not last long. The one that came shipped with the printer when I got it, I remember thinking, wow, that ended up, because I don't print very often, right? And I bought that thing, and then I was like, shit, that's already empty? Huh, interesting. That's when I bought a non-genuine one, and that worked. And then I stupidly, that's the other option. If you happen to have a printer that you bought maybe 4 years ago, far out, for the life of you, do not update that firmware. What on earth? Give me one good reason why you should update firmware on a printer, assuming it's working. If your printer you bought and it works, why on earth would you need to update firmware? In fact, you don't even need that printer to connect to the internet. Why, unless you really want to do airdrop printing, like printing, wireless printing, just plug it in with they come with the old big bulky square USB-A ports. Just use that. Like, far out, man. And also, while we're ranting and raving about printers, what the fuck is with that software that Epson ships? You buy the printer, Okay, so then you go to the internet and you download the firmware or you download the software, not the firmware, you download the software and you go and install it. And man, I'll tell you this, everything that they tell you to install, you don't need. The printer, especially on a Mac, the printer already works without going to any Epson site. The printer already works. So I've made this mistake where you download this Epson printer garbage, and all of a sudden every 4 weeks there's an update. You got to update the printer. So what for? What am I doing? What is this hardware device actually doing that requires all these updates? It's crazy. It's got that printer has more updates than, I don't have an electric vehicle, but I'm assuming an electric vehicle, right? Like this thing's, arguably that does need updates because there's security and software and safety and all that. But a printer sits on your desk and it prints out paper, uses ink to print. Like, what do you need to update that shit for? It's either working or it's not. So advice, first of all, don't buy an Epson printer. Second of all, don't ever update the firmware if you happen to have one from a few years ago. I think I bought mine about 4 years ago. Yeah, it would be at least 4 years ago. Oh, no, shit. No, can't be. It'd be about 2.5 years ago. So don't do what I did and update that firmware, please. For the life of me, for the life of you, don't update firmware on an Epson printer, and you'll be good to go. So this is case closed with Epson. I will not need to make any following updates. The money's in the account. The printer, I'm still going to use the printer. I'm going to be the sucker that buys genuine. In fact, you know what? Fuck you, Epson, because you still win at this point. Because I am going to be buying Epson genuine ink. Damn, I just thought about that. They still win. And it took me all this time, and I had to make 2 live streams. I had to do all this stupid emailing, and they've still got a customer, and they're still going to make the money off me, right? Because even though they've refunded the purchase price, they're still going to get it from me from the ink over the course of like 3 or 4 years. That sucks. And I don't even want a printer. Like, I don't need it. Oh, I hardly need it. So that's annoying, right? That really grinds my gears. I hope your gears have been ground. I'll catch you on the next live stream, Skins, later on today. We'll chill out, drink beer, have a good time. See you later. Get him out of here.